And so, that night marked the beginning of a new chapter in Kiara's life. After the shocking encounter in the suite, the young woman couldn't sleep. As the first lights of dawn timidly filtered through the window, her mind raced at a crazy pace, trying to decipher every word, every gesture, every nuance of that incredible revelation. In the days that followed, Kiara found herself immersed in a spiral of conflicting emotions. Every morning, upon awakening, the memory of the man who had introduced himself as her young husband mixed with the figure she had known until a short time before, the respectable businessman, wise and affable, who had asked her hand with apparent coldness but, in reality, with a passionate soul. This double identity, so mysterious and unexpected, made her question the nature of love and destiny. Determined to find answers, Kiara decided to meet him in a quiet cafe, away from the bright lights and spotlights of the wedding party. Sitting at a corner table, he began to tell her about a past that, until then, had been completely hidden from her. He spoke of a troubled youth, marked by a series of superficial relationships and an inner emptiness that had pushed him to search, at all costs, for someone who could love him for who he truly was. "I have always sought the truth," he confided, his eyes fixed on hers, "but I realized that, in the rush to accumulate wealth and success, I had lost myself in superficiality. When I met you, something about you struck me. It was as if every word, every gesture, spoke to me of sincerity and authenticity. I wanted to test not only your heart, but mine as well." Kiara listened enthralled, trying to grasp every detail of that story that went far beyond the mere facade of the businessman. That morning, between one sip of coffee and another, she realized that the truth could have many faces, and that love, true love, often hides behind deceptive masks. In the days that followed, daily cohabitation revealed new layers of the mysterious husband. During the day, he was the one who took care of her with an almost paternal delicacy, a confidant to whom she could confide her most intimate fears and hopes. At night, when silence reigned supreme in the marital home, he seemed to sink into a sort of meditation, as if trying to put the pieces of a broken life back together. In those moments, Kiara felt almost like a privileged witness to a process of inner rebirth. One evening, during a walk along the river that ran through the village, he opened up even more, telling her about a bitter promise he had made when he was young. "I swore to myself never to marry, never to tie myself down to anyone, because I was afraid of betraying my ideals. But then, life put me in front of you, and I understood that love is not a prison, but a liberation." That whisper, so full of meaning, made Kiara's heartstrings vibrate. The young woman began to reflect on how often social conventions and prejudices prevent us from seeing beyond appearances. Was it possible that the difference in age, that barrier that seemed unbridgeable, could actually hide a deep and authentic connection? In the meantime, the questions plaguing Kiara's mind did not go unnoticed. How could a man change his identity so radically? And what did it really mean to be yourself? So she decided to embark on a sort of inner journey, dedicating time to herself. She enrolled in a meditation course, took long walks in city parks and immersed herself in reading philosophical and spiritual texts. Every page read, every deep breath, brought her closer to understanding that life is a kaleidoscope of contradictions and surprises, where nothing is ever as it seems. At the same time, the community around her began to talk about this enigmatic couple. Some said that the marriage had been just a deception, a social experiment staged to highlight the hypocrisies of the business world. Others argued that behind that facade was a secret weapon against loneliness and alienation, a desperate choice of someone who, despite having everything, felt incomplete. Kiara, although aware of all the chatter, tried not to be influenced by hasty judgments. She knew that the truth was much more complex and nuanced than it might appear to a superficial eye. During an intimate dinner at home, in the company of a few trusted friends, the husband decided to open up further. He spoke of a past made of disappointments and betrayals, of how his career had led him to lose sight of fundamental values. He spoke of his first experiences of love, of broken dreams and ambitions that, over time, had turned into an unbearable burden. As he spoke, Kiara's eyes lit up, not so much with compassion, but with a growing awareness. That person, so complex and imperfect, had managed to transform her wounds into a path of growth and redemption. Weeks turned into months, and as time passed, the bond between the two grew deeper. They shared carefree moments, like impromptu trips to the countryside, walks under a starry sky, and evenings spent telling stories of the past. One of these evenings remained etched in Chiara's memory. While they were sitting on a bench in an old park, he took her hand and said, "Don't look for perfection in others, but rather in small daily gestures. That's where the true essence of love is hidden." Those words, so simple and yet so profound, made her reflect on the meaning of life and the value of small attentions, capable of brightening even the darkest days. There was, however, a time when Chiara had to face the judgment of others. Some relatives and acquaintances, wary of that atypical relationship, asked her insistent and sometimes cutting questions. "But are you sure that this is love? Don't you think that you are sacrificing too much of yourself to please others?" These questions, although painful, pushed Chiara to look inside herself, to ask herself what she really wanted from life. And in that intense internal confrontation, she understood that love is not measured in years or social conventions, but in the ability to accept and love oneself despite one's own fragilities. Her husband, seeing her uncertainties, was always present, almost like a lighthouse on a stormy night. He wrote her letters, little notes left here and there, in which he expressed his affection and his desire to build something authentic together with her. In one of those letters, he wrote, "Every moment spent with you teaches me that the courage to change and to accept the past is what makes life worth living." Those words, read several times, became a mantra for Chiara, an invitation to believe in herself and in the power of change. As time passed, her relationship with her family also began to change. Chiara's parents, initially shocked by the unexpected revelation, realized that behind that apparent deception was a man willing to make sacrifices for love, a man who, with his behavior, had shown that he had their daughter's well-being at heart. Luca, her brother, also learned to see his husband as a mentor, the one who taught him the importance of never judging people by appearances and of always seeking the truth at the heart of situations. Fate, in an almost poetic way, wanted to test the couple further. During a trip organized to celebrate their first wedding anniversary, an unexpected event forced them to stop in a small mountain village, where time seemed to have stopped. In that environment so different from the frenzy of the city, Chiara and her husband had the opportunity to confront themselves and rediscover the value of simplicity. The long walks in the woods, the stories of the village elders and the evenings around the fire became the stage for a deep introspection, a sort of rebirth ritual. That experience brought them even closer. Nature, with its silent beauty, managed to dissolve every fear and bring out a genuine feeling, made of mutual understanding and respect for the path traveled. Chiara learned to see her husband no longer as an enigma to decipher, but as a traveling companion, an ally with whom she could face life's challenges. And he, for his part, found in her the strength to let go, to accept his own imperfections and to believe that love could truly overcome every barrier. In the end, that story, born from a beginning as bizarre as it was sudden, transformed into a symphony of emotions and revelations. A love made of difficult choices, sacrifices and unexpected moments, which taught anyone who lived it, and observed it closely, that life, with all its nuances, is a continuous becoming, where every obstacle can become a springboard towards authentic happiness. As the sun set, painting the sky orange and pink, Chiara and her husband found themselves smiling, knowing that their journey had just begun. They didn't know what the future held, but they had learned to navigate it together, with courage and with the certainty that, deep down, every truth, however difficult to accept, is also a door to a new hope.